and welcome to this week's edition of the Briefing Room. I'm your host, Bill Froehlich, and it's a sports edition to start 2014. To my left, we've got Mike Misico from the Grand Traverse Insider, Sports Editor. Welcome back to you, Mike.
Hey, Happy New Year, my friends. Great to be here.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. And then off to my right, James Cook from the Record Eagle. Welcome back to you, James. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
We've got a lot to talk about, guys. It's been a pretty exciting couple of weeks in sports, and I guess we should start most recently with the Rose Bowl, a big day for the Spartans. Exciting times. James, give us your take on this game against Stanford. Is it what you thought it would be?
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought that Stanford had the clear advantage in this game coming in, but Michigan State just came in and just cleaned up and did what they needed to do. Defense played well even without Max Bulla, and it was a tremendous win for Michigan State.
Most exciting moment of the game, play of the game?
Well, the obvious one is the play at the end by Kyler Ellsworth, the stop on 4th and 1. But I thought one of the very big plays of the game was in the, I think it was the second quarter when Stanford tried to throw that deep pass over the middle, and the DB just rips the ball away from the wide receiver in the air. Yes. And Stanford completes that pass. They probably score at least a field goal. Then you're talking a double-digit lead, early in a game, and it's that could have just changed the whole outcome of the game.
How about you, Michael?
Well, hail to the Spartans. Let's just say it. A quote by the great Brent Musburger. Yeah.
That was a little awkward.
That was awkward. But what wasn't awkward was, Michigan State's first Rose Bowl victory since 1988, 26-year drought snapped. I mean, Coach D'Antoni, hats off to this guy. Remember in May when his daughter took a video of him in Pasadena, basically saying that guys were going to be here at the Rose Bowl, and lo and behold, in January they were.
Now, what you don't know is he's taken that video every year for the past 7 years.
Hey,
and this first
it's
time
going to work one of these times. No, but what a great game it was. Defensively, Michigan State, they are who we thought they were there. They did a phenomenal job just shutting down. I don't know why Stanford kept going to the run game in this Wildcat formation they're running right up the middle. I don't know if it was because they were missing Bulla at the middle linebacker spot, but whatever it wasn't working. And the emergence of Connor Cook at quarterback, what a phenomenal job this young man's done. Yeah. And he had a great game. There's many highlights to me. A couple of Cook's touchdown passes were really big deals, and I believe the second one in the fourth quarter, he eluded a couple tacklers, found his guy in the back of the end zone to take the lead. It just overall a great game. I think these two teams were matched up evenly on paper, but I had to give the edge to Michigan State's defense, and such was the case. The defense did a great job. I know James picked against Michigan State.
You wanted to point that out.
I just wanted to say it. But
I just thought that Stanford was going to pull that. I thought that with Bulla out, that they might be able to exploit that on the run game. They didn't. I mean, Kyler Ellsworth came up huge, and the rest of the defense came up huge. And Bulla being out didn't seem to be as big of a setback as people thought it was going to be.
You guys know way more about both of these teams than I do, but I was reading, I think it was Yahoo Sports the day before, talking about the strength of both defenses, how the run game might be a problem, and frankly how with the strong arms of both quarterbacks that they were, this sports writer was hoping for a 700-yard passing game. So I was kind of surprised we didn't see more balls in the air earlier on and then throughout the game for Stanford. I kind of felt like every time I saw a run play, nothing was really happening for either side.
I know. I'm not sure what their game plan was as far as Stanford's concerned, and I do think that they were believing that they could expose Kyler Ellsworth, who took the place of Max Bulla in the middle, and because it seemed like most of their run plays were up the gut, and they were just getting shut down, but they kept attacking. Ellsworth did not fold. In fact, he came up huge on the 4th and 1 play to seal the victory. But again, with two, like I said, these teams were evenly matched, and I think they had to change the way they were coming into this game a little bit. And then eventually, we've seen Connor Cook. He's had his 2 biggest games on the grandest of stages against Ohio State when he needed to step up, and then last at the Rose Bowl, and he had a great game again. So it takes him a while to get going, but wow, what a great move to switch from Maxwell to Connor Cook. That paid off in roses. Congratulations to Michigan State. It was a huge win, and you know what? That was a big deal for the Big Ten, because Nebraska was the only other Big Ten team to have a win to that point. The Big Ten needed some help in the bowl games this year, and Michigan State delivered.
You know, James, I saw the interception, Connor Cook's interception late in the first, and there was obviously this deflation for a minute there. But it also occurred to me that aside from that, Ohio State hadn't put a lot of points on the board yet either, so it didn't totally discourage me, and obviously it didn't discourage Connor Cook either.
Yeah, I mean, he threw for over 300 yards.
Yeah.
I think it was his career high in passing, maybe.
It was.
And like Mike said, I mean, he's come up huge in the 2 biggest games. You know, his one, I guess you would say, poor performance of the season was against Notre Dame, and that was their only loss. But I don't know. And people say, you know, hey, if they beat Notre Dame, they could be in the national championship game. And I don't know if you'd rather end the season winning the Rose Bowl or probably losing to Florida State in the national championship game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which one do you take?
I tell you, I would have really loved to see in next year that when they implement the playoff system, supposedly this 14 playoff, I would have loved to see this Michigan State team in a playoff scenario and to see what would happen. So I'm in favor of this little playoff thing they're going to do.
I think they should even expand it.
Right, but you know,
8 or 16.
I'm very happy with how things turned out. If you're a Spartans fan, you should be happy. Rose Bowl victory is a big deal.
Yeah,
and hats off to them. No Bola, no problem. Congratulations, Michigan State.
yeah, tremendous way to end the season.
Someone had said to me yesterday that they didn't want to go on Facebook because they were not looking forward to the annoying Spartan fans just kind of patting themselves on the back. And it occurred to me, a couple things occurred to me. Michigan's got a lot more Rose Bowl appearances than Michigan State. I think they've got 20. But also just, I guess maybe social media has kind of just changed the way we know about Spartan fans, about fans of any team. All of a sudden everybody's out there pretty openly, and so maybe they just seem more annoying because they're more readily available.
They're on the pedestal right now.
That's right.
So they're getting
They're
getting that exposure. So that's why they're more annoying right now. Granted, they're also probably burning couches in East Lansing as we speak. But
the flames are dying out, maybe.
Yes.
It's
cold out there.
School wasn't in session, so I think they were at home burning their parents' couches.
Good to know. That's good to know. Let's before we move on to the NFL, let's talk about Max Bullitt for just a minute, because I think there's some big questions out there, and nobody really knows if we'll get good answers out of anything or not. But what Christmas night at 1 a.m. or the night after 1 a.m. we get this kind of vague press release from the coach about how Max Bullitt will not be playing and some violation of team rules. Obviously in Traverse City that caught our interest a lot. Your reaction, and do we have any buzz about what happened?
Oh, there's all kinds of rumors and speculation going around, but it's mostly just that at this point, and there's no concrete. Nobody will come out and say what it was. Michigan State obviously not going to say what it was, other than just a violation of team rules. It appears that it's not anything legal because he shows up nowhere in any, police blotter or anything anywhere. So I imagine it'll come out sometime in the next. It may come out pretty quick right after the game is done now, or it'll come out in the NFL Combine process, because he's not going to be able to hide whatever it was from NFL teams. They're going to find out, and then it's going to be out there. So it'll come out what it was. There's all kinds of rumors going around, but
I agree with you that it seems now like it's not a legal matter. Like you said, we haven't, no police reports, no court records of anything. But then at the same time, you're wondering, well, gosh, what could have been so bad that if it's not a legal matter, what could it have been so bad to pull Max Bullitt out from the Rose Bowl?
Right. There's a couple things here, because you're looking at what a great career Bulla has had at Michigan State. You know, a phenomenal career, a great legacy. His family name is obviously tied to this program. So what a devastating blow to him, to his family. But look, I'm not apologetic. I'm not going to be on the soapbox saying, I'm so sorry about this. No, you break the rules, you get suspended like anyone else. And I applaud D'Antoni, and any coach in any level of sports that follows the rules, you know, sticks with them no matter what your name is. Now, I almost think it would be better if they came out and just said, hey, here's what he did. He was late for a team meeting, or, you know, any other. There are so many rumors right now. And you know what? I don't even mind. And I was ranting about this on social media, but he's just one man. And obviously Ellsworth, his replacement, did a great job. The Spartans' defense was still a phenomenal defense without Bulla. Granted, he was a big piece of that. You know, in the middle linebacker, he called the plays. They said he has a computer for a brain out there. But I think the most fitting punishment for him was having to sit from home and watch his teammates win that game on the grandest of stages last night. I don't think his draft stock is going to fall, no matter what this turns out to be, unless it's something horrific, which it's not. But he's still going to get picked up second, third round, maybe. Who knows? And he'll have a good NFL career. But I think his punishment, sitting, watching your teammates win that Rose Bowl championship, was good enough for me.
It's gotta hurt.
I'm over it. And I think soon here, now that the game is over, we may see this information slip out finally, put this thing to rest.
I think you'll see his NFL draft status will kind of hinge on what time he runs at the 40 or at the combine.
Right.
And then you could see him go anywhere from the second round to the fifth round or something, depending on how fast that is.
Well, let's change over and talk about the NFL, because we're obviously looking at the end of a Lions season, the end of the Jim Schwartz era. Interview I heard with Matt Stafford, he's not too thrilled about it. Some nice words for the coach, the only coach that Stafford's ever had in the NFL. But was this overdue? Was this Jim Schwartz's time?
Yeah, I mean, it could have happened last year. I mean, to finish the season 0-8 last season, losing 8 games straight, it was just a bitter pill for any person who follows the Lions, and then to basically do that again this year. When you had the division sitting there, you're 6-3, you have Jay Cutler and Aaron Rodgers both hurt, and the division is just waiting there for you to snap it up. Yeah. And you're 6-3, you're in first place. You've got all the tiebreakers already because you've beaten the Bears, you've beaten the Packers, and all this, and then to just go 1-6 down the stretch. And in every one of those losses, they led in the fourth quarter.
Oh, really? Didn't realize that.
And just couldn't finish. Stupid penalties, interceptions, drops, missed tackles, all things that coaches are there to prevent.
Yeah. I theorized the other day, too, when we got word of Jim Schwartz being let go, that they really should have just kept him around for another half season. Give him an 8-game contract and then cut him loose.
He does phenomenal.
He seems to do real well the first half of the season.
Yeah, he's a real front runner.
How about you, Mike?
It was time. A change was needed. It was time to do something. Schwartz, it seemed like he lost just complete control of the ship here. I don't know. Look, Schwartz is a hot-headed coach, and he's got an undisciplined team. I mean, it was anarchy. Mayhem there in the ranks. No wonder Stafford, loves this guy so much, because he basically had free reign. Look at Stafford's problems. Now, someone else is going to come in there. We're going to be looking for a offensive-minded coach, most likely, that can help with Stafford with his mechanics and help him, with the issues, the mistakes he's had, especially this season. But main thing we're lacking is discipline, control. The Lions were out of control. This losing your last 6 or 7 games, unforgivable. That's the horrible loss in the last game last week to Minnesota, 14-13, to a depleted Minnesota Vikings squad, just running a skeleton crew out there. It was the most unprofessional, uninspired thing. I mean, the Lions played uninspired football the last half of the season, but the final nail in Schwartz's proverbial coaching coffin in Detroit was the Minnesota loss. That was it. He's done. He's gone. Like remember, he came in after the 0-16 campaign, and there was a lot of promise for Jim Schwartz. I backed this guy 100%. I marked down his record here. In that first year in 2009, after the 0-6 campaign, 2-14. In 2010, he went 6-10. So things were getting better. 2011 was the 10-6 year where we made the playoffs and broke that huge playoff drought. Then regression, 4-12 last year, and then 7-9 this year. Just unacceptable. And we need someone in there that can rein this thing in. And because you've got one of the most talented teams in the NFL, hands down, we should not be. This division was ours. It was handed to the Detroit Lions on a silver platter multiple times. They could not take it. Goodbye, Schwartz.
How much of this is Schwartz's fault? Because Calvin Johnson's the one dropping passes. Matt Stafford's the one throwing interceptions.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Schwartz isn't on the field doing those things, but it's his job to make sure that those things don't happen again, and over and over and over again, and repeatedly, and in crunch time. And those things kept happening in those situations and happening regularly. And it's his job, even if he's not the position coach for Calvin Johnson or whatever, to go to the receivers coach and say, hey, we need to work on this. And he probably tried to do all those things, but whatever he tried didn't work. So if it's not working, you got to do something else.
It's just a losing culture. And in Detroit, the Lions coaching job is a career killer. Schwartz now joins the heap, the scrap pile of handfuls of coaches. Schwartz lasted had the longest tenure, 5 years, than any Lions coach since Wayne Fontes was fired back in 1996. That's not saying much. Is Wayne Fontes alive? Is he available? Maybe we could bring him back. I don't know. But you're absolutely right. He was at the top of the tree. Responsibility is all his for all these mistakes. And he just, bottom line, he just did not have control of this team. It was the mistakes, the penalties, the collapse, fourth quarter collapse every game. He lost it, and almost like he phoned it in as well, just like the players. So we need someone with an iron fist that's going to come in there and hold these guys accountable and make them play to their potential every single down.
And I think the writing was on the wall, too. You're talking about that last game against Minnesota and being uninspired and everything like that. I think he already knew he was being fired before that. Because after that game, I mean, he's not emotional at all, and he's an emotional guy. So I think he was just, he knew it was coming. There was reports that Martin Mayhew and Tom Lewin weren't talking to Schwartz and the coaching staff and stuff like that, and that there was this rift.
Right.
But the other thing that happens is that when people know that you're going to get fired, they stop talking to you.
No, that's why I
think
haven't.
that's a lot, actually.
That's why I haven't talked to Bill in
what was
so
happening
long.
there.
Bill, and that's why we haven't chatted in a while.
We'll talk after the show. I want to talk about the rest of the NFC. We've talked at this table. I've made no secret of my allegiance to the Packers over the years. But, man, this is just a rusty Packers team that, by default, as you kind of indicated, made its way to the top of the NFC North. I don't hold out much hope for them long term, to be honest. But what do you see in the rest of the division as we head to the playoffs? Super Bowl picks? I mean, are we at that point yet?
The picture is getting clearer. This is the year of offense in the NFL.
Yeah.
We have the 4 top quarterbacks in Manning, Breeze, Rodgers, Brady. They are in the playoffs. They made it. The Aaron Rodgers thing, yes, they won the division by default.
Yep.
I don't know. Aaron Rodgers is not a savior to me. I think Matt Flynn could have just filled in and done just as good of a job and got them here. However, don't sleep on your Packers, my friend, because
Well, I'll still be watching.
it is cold. It's single digits. It's supposed to be very cold this weekend for the wild card games.
49ers won't like that. I can
No.
No.
So,
Not at all.
I was thinking about this last night. I'm giving the edge to these cold weather teams. And guess what? The Super Bowl's being played outside in a dome in New York. Not in a dome, in the open.
Stadium, yeah.
MetLife Stadium, and it's going to be cold. And advantage Guys who've been playing on the frozen tundra. Peyton Manning over in Denver, who plays in bitter cold. But, I'm trying to think here. I like Philadelphia in the NFC in their wild card game. I think they will take down the Saints. The Saints and Drew Brees just aren't what they used to be. When they're good, they're good. When they're bad, they're bad. Philly's been playing really well. I don't like them because they decimated the Lions in that snow game. But don't look past Nick Foles. Don't look past Philadelphia. Great run game there. In the AFC wild card, Kansas City. And if we could rewind this tape, I believe on this very show, I said a long time ago that don't sleep on Kansas City. This was my wild card pick to make the playoffs preseason. I love Andy Reid, what he's done with that team there. Maybe he'll come over and coach the Lions. So I see Philly, I see Kansas City coming out of their wild card games. I also see San Diego Chargers, a dark horse who just barely snuck in. I see them coming out in the AFC, and I also see Green Bay taking down San Francisco. Remember, San Francisco barely beat Green Bay in last year's playoffs. So that's my wild card predictions there. Do not sleep on these cold weather teams.
Yeah, I like the Packers in that game too. Yeah. You not only have Aaron Rodgers coming back, but you also have Randall Cobb coming back. It gives him another weapon that Flynn didn't have in the 7 weeks that Rodgers was out. Rodgers didn't look all that rusty. He looked fairly comfortable.
Yeah, he did. He looked right.
And he'll only be even more so, with another week of running with the first team. They make it past San Francisco, and maybe you get Clay Matthews back. So they're fairly healthy overall. Aside from losing Finley and Clay Matthews and an alignment or two, they're fairly healthy. So I could see the Packers easily making a run.
They can make a run, but
I'll take it.
Is anyone going to get past Seattle in the NFC? I don't know.
I don't know, but Seattle's kind of at the end of the season on kind of a downturn. I mean, they lost their first game at home in 2 seasons, and they lost another one down the stretch there. So they've showed a little bit of weakness.
The only advantage for Seattle and for Green Bay or whoever goes there is the 12th man. That stadium, it has to be a factor to opposing teams. But Seattle's good at home, and they're loud at home, and they're the number 1 seed, and they have a first week bye, and they host a home field advantage. We'll see there. And then when you look over at the AFC, New England, can they hold on, make another run? Carolina, when you look further down the road in the NFC and Denver, I don't know. If I had to throw darts, this is a tough one for me this year. But I would almost say Seattle, Denver. I know that's generic as it gets. But I think Peyton Manning, what a phenomenal year. This has to be the year for him to really step up and back up his record-breaking pace.
Yeah. I'm on board with that one. All right, just a couple minutes left. Let's real quickly. I know we're running short on time, but talk about the Winter Classic. Big game for the Red Wings and big weekend.
Yeah, aside from the shootout part of it, it was a phenomenal game. I mean, 105,000 people packed in there to watch that in freezing temperatures. Not quite full, but pretty darn good for how brutally cold it was. Yeah. I had some people telling me that some of those players are going to get frostbite, because you're just looking at them and they're flying around. You don't until you're there, you kind of don't realize how fast hockey players are going, and their faces are just red and everything. And it was 5 degrees or something negative with the wind chill. The Maple Leafs goalie had to keep switching his water bottle out on the net because it kept freezing. He couldn't drink water and stuff. So people had to keep bringing in new bottles out like during play almost, and everything. It was pretty interesting. And then he wore the hat on top of his helmet, just like the TC West goalie did when they played down there.
Well, most importantly, people who are paying $8, $10, $11, $12 a beer, those were freezing instantly. I saw many pictures last night.
Ice cold beer.
They're ice cold beer, but they're frozen. Where's the refund there? But besides that,
always asking the tough questions.
Yeah,
I would demand a refund. I mean, that's expensive.
Remember in the '90s, the trend there was ice beer.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was back last night.
They're bringing
my
it
friends.
back.
But they're saying this was the largest crowd. They have to verify this with Guinness, but as far as ticket sales, over 105,000. And they're saying they're going to verify with Guinness if this is in fact the biggest crowd ever to witness an NHL event. And I would have to say it was. What an amazing event. I was able to watch some of it, catch some of the game. Beautiful. That's hockey at its finest right there. And by the way, the record for the most watched was called the Big Chill, I think. It was Michigan State hockey game, and that was about 104,000. So what a phenomenal game, though. The Red Wings, they're stinking it up. What are they? They are last 10 games, 3-5-2. I don't know. They were supposed to dominate this new Eastern Conference. They're in the Atlantic Division. The loss in Toronto just piggybacked them in the standings. They're dropped down another notch here, but I don't know what's going on with them. But I do know that event last night, what a great thing for hockey, and it just perfect. The snow falling, the cold. All the people packed into the big house, loved it.
Yeah, and having to stop the game to shovel the ice off during the first period was awesome. But what's wrong with the Red Wings is just injuries. I mean, they are decimated. They've had games where almost half of the guys that you expected to be on the starting lineup, opening season, are sitting at home. Yeah. Including at times Datsuk and Zetterberg and all your stars.
It's not looking good, my friends.
Yep.
I know we'd like to take more time than we have to talk about the Pistons, but give me 30 seconds from each of you guys on what you see from the Pistons this season and what you like.
They're a team that's fun to watch, but they're not fun to watch for the last 2 minutes of the game because nobody can hit a free throw. So
I like it.
If the game is close, they're not going to win it.
They're not going to win it.
Pistons, 14-19 overall. They're second in the division behind the Pacers.
I know.
Although they're back about 12 games. But remember, they gave the Pacers their first loss of the season a little while back. They beat the Miami Heat. They know how to perform on the grandest of stages. They can compete with these top-tier teams in the NBA. Do not sleep on these guys. They're capable. This is a very long season.
They'll be okay, and the Eastern Conference is very weak.
It is very weak. I give the Pistons a chance here.
They'll make the playoffs.
They could very well make the playoffs, and they should. Brandon Jennings, almost 18 points a game. Josh Smith, 15 points a game. Greg Monroe, 15 points a game. Rodney Stuckey, 14 points. Andre Drummond, 13 points, 12 rebounds a game. Play Chauncey Billups a little more. I don't like him playing just 13 minutes or whatever it is a game. Put him in there. He does great out there. But
they need his
Mo Cheeks, yeah, they do, and he's doing a great job. I'm excited. Do not sleep on the Pistons. They could surprise us.
We've got lots of teams we're not allowed to sleep on now.
I know.
I never sleep.
Sleepless.
I don't sleep.
All right,
I'm
guys.
always awake.
But they seriously need a three-point shooter to develop. It's either got to be Billups or the Italian kid or Caldwell Pope, somebody, because otherwise teams are just crashing that defense down in on the big guys. And
Well, don't sleep on the briefing room either.
I try not to. I hope you aren't either. But thanks for joining us this week, and thanks to Mike Misico and James Cook. We're talking sports, and we'll see you next week with more news of the week right here on the briefing room. Thanks for tuning in.